Hello everybody, this is my niece Aaliyah, she's 10, and I am going to do a tutorial today on her hair because it's a good idea to get some practice on flower girls and junior bridesmaids. So for her hair is pretty long, it's pretty thick, it's really silky, and it's really healthy. And so she doesn't hold the curl very well. I try to think of what can I do on flower girls and junior bridesmaids that will last a long time if they're running around and also be cute and age appropriate. So for her, we're gonna do a braid around her head and then a low braided bun in the back. So that way I don't have to use any curls. We don't have to worry about hot iron at all. And I can just secure everything with elastics and a few bobby pins to make it last. So what I did to start was I sectioned the whole middle of her head. So starting from the top of her crown, I made a circle all the way around, and I'm gonna section this away. And then I'm gonna start at the top, and I'm gonna do a braid at the top. And so what I'm gonna do for her is I'm gonna do a regular 3-strand braid, but I'm only gonna grab hair from the outside. So we're gonna do a regular braid for the beginning, and then once I start to pick up hair in the French style, I'm only taking from the front. So I'm not taking any hair from this side, I'm just crossing like normal and then grabbing it from this side. And that is gonna make it kind of pop up a little bit and be really cute. And so I'm not taking from this side, I'm only taking from this side. And with younger girls, I like to do really tight braids because I know they're gonna be running around a lot. Especially if you have to do their hair right away in the morning and then they have a full day ahead of them. It's better to do it tight because it will get a little frizzy and loosen up, especially if they're outside or they're just, some of the really little ones have to take a nap, so you just want to get it nice and secure. So the trick with these two is you want to move with the braid. So I'm not going to stand up here and braid this way. I'm going to move with it so it's always in front of me the whole time. And I also like to make sure it's nice and tight above the ears so you don't have anything loose. And so you can see I left out hair behind the ear too, and I'm going to keep gathering hair as I work around her head and just keep braiding securely around. And it's going to make kind of a crown around the entirety of her head. The other thing that works really well, the other reason this works really well is because a lot of little girls have baby hairs on their neckline, and doing a braid like this is going to help get all those little baby hairs up and out of their way. So I'm just going to keep gathering like this until I get to the middle of her head, and then I'm going to braid down. So we're just crossing, braiding, and I'm still only caking from the bottom. When I get to the middle, then what I'm going to do is just keep braiding in front of me so it's continuing to come in this pattern. And I'm going to secure it with a small rubber band. I'm going to braid it all the way down to the end. The other thing I like to do, or why I like to do braids on little girls too, is because it's a lot faster than just sitting and curling, and you know it's going to last. So using braids is one of my go-to moves for flower girls for sure. All right, so after I've done that side, I'm going to go through and do the other side. So let's see here. So her hair, like I said, is pretty thick. Let's see if I can move her around a little bit. Whoop. There we go. Her hair is really thick and it's slippery. So one thing that you can do to help combat slippery hair is if you have texture spray, you can spray your hair first with texture spray or use a little bit of pomade in your fingers as you're working so that all those little flyaways get up, and even if her hair is really slippery and smooth, then you'll have a little bit of grip on it. And that tends to be the case a lot of times with little girls because they haven't colored their hair yet, they don't have any heat damage, all those things that we have going on with our hair as adults, they don't deal with. So anyway, like I said, do a little hairspray, brush through it first, texture spray, brush through it, and then use a little pomade on your fingertips when you get started. And that will help keep all the flyaways in and help her hair not be too slippery when you're working with it. All right, so again, I'm not grabbing from the inside, I'm just grabbing from the outside and working my way down around her head. And then I'm gonna braid all the way until I reach the spot where my last braid stopped. And then we're gonna connect them at the very end. So like I said, this gets up all those little hairs on the bottom. So braid it all the way down. We'll turn you a little bit. Turn, turn, turn. All right. Okay, so now for the middle part. What I like to do on younger girls is make sure there's a really secure base because you don't want to risk it coming out. So I'm gonna take her hair and put it into a low ponytail. But before I do that, I'm gonna put a little bit of texture spray in it because like I said, her hair is super thick and shiny. So I'm gonna go through and section a little bit. Once again, I'm using the big sexy texture spray. And this one is a lot heavier than a lot of other texture sprays, and so it's good for hair that's really silky. And I am going to actually back comb a little bit because while I don't need her to have volume, she does have a really strong part down the middle, and I want to make sure that that doesn't pop through. So I'll go through and back comb section by section. And then the other thing that we'll do is when I'm securing all the braids into this ponytail, it will give me some grip for my bobby pins to stick into. All right, so then I'm gonna brush through, and you're gonna gather all the middle hair into a ponytail. How are you doing? All right. So her hair is kind of thick, so I'm actually going to use a bigger hair binder for her hair for the middle because I really want to make sure it stays. All right, so we have that. I'm going to do a little hairspray to make sure it's smooth and stays. And then I'm going to divide it into 2 braids because she's got pretty thick hair. So we'll do one section here and then another section. And if the hair is pretty thin, then you could just do 1 braid. If her hair is super thick, you could do 3 braids. You can be the judge of that. I'm gonna do them rather loosely because I want to make the kind of a bun that's sort of bigger. And so the looser the braid is, then the bigger the bun will be. If you want a really tight, neat, more like ballerina bun, then you can do a nice tight braid. And braiding all the way down to the bottom on this one, and then same on this side. So take this and do just a regular 3-strand braid. You could also do a fishtail braid. That would be really cute for a flower girl. All right, so braiding these down to the bottom. And it does help that she has got texture spray in because it's just keeping all the flyaways away. All right, I'm gonna secure this one. Then I'm gonna do a little bit of the big sexy texture spray on each braid. And I'm just gonna make them a little bit fatter, so I'm pulling them out just a little bit. And then the top one, I'm gonna turn upside down. So I'm bringing it from down here, flipping it up, and I'm gonna put 1 pin at the top. So I'm gonna go into the braid and then against the scalp and then in. And with little girls, they don't wanna have their head hurt. And so you wanna make sure that you have some good back combing in here, and that will give some grip for these bobby pins to stick to, rather than having to use a ton of bobby pins and have them be really uncomfortable. I'm gonna go under the bottom braid and then actually tuck this end into this top braid like that. So you can see I just tucked that in there, and I'll put a couple more pins around. So then I'm only using about 3 or 4 pins, rather than having to do a whole bunch of them to make it stay, like I would have to do if I was using curls instead. But braids are easier because they stay on themselves. I'm just gonna pull that out a little bit, like that, and then we're gonna do the bottom one. So again, I'm just gonna loosen it a little bit because I want it to be a little bit of a chunkier braid, a cute little bun. Braids are also great for sticking flowers in, or if you have little pearl accessories, anything like that looks really good. So there's kind of a gap down here, and that's what I wanna fill. So for this one, I'm gonna go under this way and bring it around. So I'll hold it loosely. I'm gonna put a pin in this way and then walk the pins around the top of the braid. So again, I'm going towards the scalp and then down into the braid like that. And for this side, you can see we have this end here. I'm gonna tuck it underneath the first braid I made. Just like that. Feel good? Okay, we're almost done. All right. Okay, so now we have the bun, and all we have left are these two pieces. And so one side, you can take whichever side you want. I'm gonna wrap under and then just bring it around the top. So bring it around as far as it wants to go, and I'm gonna tuck it into this top braid. Now if the hair is really long, what you can do that's really cute is wrap it all the way around the head. Her hair isn't quite long enough for that, but that's a really pretty style that you can use for like a crown braid for a flower girl. And then this side, same thing. I'm gonna cross it over, and then I'm gonna tuck it into the braid and tuck the whole end into the bun that I already made. So all those ends disappear. And if you pull this out even more, then you can get that cute little edge like that by pulling each section of the braid out. And then the last thing you want to do is go through and just secure it to the head like this. So the reason I do the braid, oops, it didn't quite work. We're gonna go in and back up. There you go. The reason I do the braid with only pulling the strands from this side and not from this side is so you don't see a big line of her scalp right here. It can cover that really nicely, and it kind of pops off her head a little bit, which looks really cute. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side and just make sure it's nice and secure. And then just look around and see if there's any spots that need filling, that have any gaps. So I'll just look and see if there's a spot where the bobby pin is showing, where a braid seems loose, and then make sure it's all connected here in the middle too. So I'll use a bobby pin to connect it. And with these bobby pins, I'm just actually twisting them back into the braid itself, not actually touching her scalp, so that she doesn't have anything poking her head. Then I'll just finish it with some hairspray. Shake your head. Good. And that's what you want to do, is have them shake their head so you can make sure it stays. You can see it's a really nice tight look, and it's sleek from the front, and you could put some flowers around the edge, or this one would look really pretty with a flower crown around it, and you know it's going to stay all night and look really cute. All right. That is my tutorial. Thank you, Aaliyah. We'll see you next time.